We hit. There are some triggers. Bloodforged Battle Axe, Sword of Feast and Famine, and make that many treasures off of the Reaver Cleaver. Yeah, that's some value. Oh, and we go back to 38 life.
Today on Commander Replay, we ask the question, is Nahiri the best Boros Voltron commander? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, there's two great ways to support the channel. All links are in the description below.
Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Nahiri Forged in Fury today, and today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Jenka. Let's take a look at this opener. Oh man, if this made white mana, I'd probably keep this. Oh, it's so risky. Oh, I like that hand, but I don't know if we're drawing white mana. This one's a bit more rough. We have to think about this one. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. This feels too slow. Going to 6. This we can work with. We can work with this. Keep this. What's going to the bottom? Equipment spells cost 1 less to cast. Activated abilities of equipment you control that target Blade Graph cost 1 less to activate. Interesting. I'm just going to do a quick check right here. Make sure we've got like Sword of... Yeah, we got Sword of the Animist in the deck. Also Bitterhorn. Okay. That being the case, I'm going to take the risky line here and put a land to the bottom, because we can easily make that land up through early Stoneforge Mystic and Fighter Class and so on and so forth. So yeah, I was talking to someone it was either Twitter or in a YouTube comment, I can't remember now, the other day, and they were positing that Nahiri Forged in Fury might be the best Boros Voltron commander, and I had to tell them, I don't know. I literally haven't played it yet. This is my first time playing this commander. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. What's it been out for? Maybe like a year almost at this point? And, yeah, I just haven't had a chance to look at it. I haven't been playing as much, but the text on it makes me think it's going to be a pretty good commander. There are some really cool abilities that we'll talk about in a minute. We do catch another land off the top, so that was kind of what I was banking on. So we're good in our lands through the first few turns here. Nothing to do on turn 1, so we'll play the Windswept Heath, crack that, see what kind of fetch lands we got in the deck, or fetchable lands, rather. No Alpine Meadow, so we'll just go Sacred Foundry tapped. So let's take a read of our commander. It's Nahiri Forged in Fury, 6 mana for a 5/4, affinity for equipment, yeah. Whenever equipped creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. You may cast equipment spells without paying their mana costs. So, card advantage and free casting for your equipment. There is a lot to like on this commander. Also, as a 5/4, I get that it's 6 mana, but, you know, if you cast literally any equipment, it's going to be down to at least 5 mana, which already makes it much more palatable. But, you know, as a 5/4 body, that's actually really nice. Like, a lot of things just aren't that big anymore. You know, particularly that 5 power. If you put, like, a sword and double strike on there, now you're talking about quite a bit of damage. And being able to get to that Commander 21 very quickly. You know, a lot of commanders that you play now only have 2 or 3 power, so even when you put a sword on them, they're maybe only like 4 or 5 power. This coming in with 5 is actually pretty nice. There's another land, okay. So the land gamble that we took on the mulligan is paying off so far, because I've looked at a few more lands, and I actually wonder if we need something beside a Sword of the Animist at this point. We'll see what's in here. Cast a Stoneforge Mystic. Use the ability. Let's take a look. No Mask of Memory? Oh no. So I was considering Mask of Memory just because we're drawing a lot of lands. Normally I would go Sword of the Animist. I'm going to go Bitterhorn right here just because it feels like that makes sense. Plus it's newer. I haven't looked at this one as much. I know it's good. And there is a living weapon theme in this deck. So we'll go for the Bitterhorn. It seems like it'd be a good use of mana and get us going that way. Esper Sentinel coming in for opponent. Those are pretty good. Notably, with the Stoneforge Mystic ability, we can get around casting equipment. Opponent dropped down a Tireless Tribe earlier. Discard a card. It gets +0/+4 until end of turn. Oh, yeah, I know what this is. This is Flintlock piloting his Greasefang deck, so he has this in here for a discard outlet. Another thought on our commander. Affinity for equipment is gonna be really good in the late game. Like, one of the problems you run into is, like, if a creature board wipe goes off, and you have to recast your commander, and you have to spend most of your mana doing it, if you have 3 or 4 equipment in play, or maybe more than that, you're gonna cut down that cost a lot. And so, now instead of spending your whole turn doing that, maybe it's half your turn, and you're still able to make other plays, hold up mana for protection, get some haste on there, whatever the case is. So, yeah, affinity is a really powerful keyword, which overall, like I said, because I haven't played this commander before, does make it sort of difficult to evaluate for me. Like, I know it's going to be pretty good, I just don't know exactly how good, or if it does meet the criteria of being literally the best Boros commander. It's still in the early goings here. My personal opinion, if you want the strongest Boros Voltron commander, personally, I think you're looking at either an Arden partner pair. You can do something like either probably Ketis or Rograk. Are going to be the best choices there. Rograk because it's free and has a million keywords on it, and Ketis because it kills all of the players really quickly. I think that's going to be a strong contender for your very best. Brunor is a very strong commander also. The main issue with Brunor is that it generally only kills one player at a time, so extra combats become very necessary. 6-mana Aurelia, in the sense that it has a lot of infinite combos, can also be built very, very strong. The main drawback to that one is the 6-mana casting Aurelia. In particular, that red, white is still brutal. Opponent's going to fire a Swords off here. Okay, so Flintlock gets their Greasefang into play. They discarded this Enchanted Carriage. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 white mouse creature tokens. It's a 4/4. Opponent fires a sword off on it immediately, so gonna get this one out of play. Flintlock did say, Flintlock has played this one on the channel before, but they did say they got some of the new Warhammer cards, and that we should kill the Warhammer cards immediately because they will cause problems. So he said the deck's gotten a little more powerful, a little quicker, and, you know, off to a reasonable start there, enough to draw some removal from opponents. So that is a thing. We will... I don't think we have another tap land to go get, but yeah, I guess we just play the Arid Mesa, crack the Arid Mesa. Yeah, I guess we just get the Plateau. Normally, so if it was in here, this would be a good turn to get Mistveil Plains. That's always something I look to do early in a game. If I feel like I'm all set on colors and we have a fetch where you don't need the land right away and all that stuff, so getting that in can always be helpful. Yeah, we're just going to pass and we'll use the Stoneforge ability somewhere at the end step. And notably with a deck like this, so even if you're not running Sunforger, and I probably would be, let's do it. Let's take a little tangent on Sunforger for a minute. So Sunforger, someone was asking me about it the other day, is still an immensely powerful card. I just don't run it as much as I used to because I used to play it a lot. My early goings of Commander, they were all Sunforger decks, basically. And I love Sunforger, but there's two main issues. One, it kind of dominates your entire play pattern once you play it. Like, whatever else your deck is trying to do sort of becomes irrelevant once that Sunforger's in, because you just basically play the Sunforger game at that point. For me, it's really more about variety of play style at this point. It's not because it's a bad card. It's just because I literally just want to do something else. And the other thing is that it generally does take up a lot of deck slots. Now, some of those instants you're probably going to be running anyway, but there is always going to be that onus to, like, put in those extra Sunforger cards that also just eat up other deck slots from doing other things. One that comes to mind is, like, Sulphurous Blast. If I'm running Sunforger, I really do like to run Sulphurous Blast because it is nice to wipe away all the early value on the board. Like, if we cast one right now, it would kill literally every creature on board. And as good as that is, right, it eats up another deck slot that I wouldn't necessarily devote to that without a Sunforger. So those are the two main things. That said, I also don't play Boros Voltron as much as I used to because I got really good at playing Boros Voltron, so like that usually just resulted in me schooling the table. So I haven't been playing that as much, and, you know, again, variety, just have looked to do other things in my Commander playing. So I haven't been running it as much. That said, I would definitely run a Sunforger in this deck because we're playing Boros Voltron, baby. Also, like I said, this thing has 5 power on it already. With a Sunforger by itself, that's 9 power. From there, you're not talking about having to do that much else to get to Commander lethal. There's an Emeria coming down for opponent, yeah. Faith of the Devoted. Whenever you cycle or discard a card, you may pay 1 if you do. Ooh. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Yeah, those effects can be real annoying. We're going to activate the Stoneforge Mystic right here, just so I don't forget, because that is a thing that I do sometimes. Drop in the Bitterthorn. And this is a card that I undervalued when it came out. I think I just missed the Living Weapon text when I read it initially. Because I was under the impression that, like, oh, you're going to have to pay 3 and 3 to do it. But no, you just pay 3, and you've already got the creature equipped. And, you know, we're going to be ready to go on our next turn here, which is all going to be fantastic. So yeah, I definitely underevaluated Bitterthorn a little bit. I think if you're running Sword of the Animist, you probably want to run this also. I believe this is more expensive than Sword of the Animist, so there might be some budgetary concerns for that. But in my opinion, if you want one, you probably want the other. You probably want both. And from there, you probably also want a Sword of Hearth and Home. And with that, was having a discussion earlier today on Twitter about whether Burnished Heart is still a good card or not. I think having all three of those options does reduce the effectiveness of Burnished Heart. I'm not saying I don't run it or won't run it. I just run it less than I used to. If I'm playing a deck that doesn't attack a lot, then Burnished Heart still might make a lot of sense if you're trying to get those extra lands in. But with the combination of like Dousing Dagger, Sword of the Animist, Bitterthorn, and Sword of Hearth and Home in a deck that wants to attack, man, that's a lot of powerful ramp. That's all of which is more efficient than Burnished Heart. Yeah, opponent's going to swing in with the Greasefang over in our direction. Looks like they don't have another vehicle that they wanted to discard and do the reanimate thing with, so just going to get busy with the commander. Ripping an equipment off the top right here would be really cool. It's a declaration in stone. We may need that. Exile target creature and all other creatures its controller controls with the same name. They make investigate token for each one, for each non-token exiled that way. Okie dokie. Let's we'll just take a poke into Mango over there since they're wide open. Also, ooh, Mango's playing dragons. Yeah, let's send a poke into Mango. Mango will be threatening in this game. That declaration in stone will be helpful for that, especially the exile. So we attack, we get that land trigger. Go ahead and use that. Do we have an Emeria in this deck? Does not look like it. Let's just check on our colors real quick then. We'll get a Plains for now. Ooh, I have many thoughts about what to do with our mana here. Well, let's just take a check on the... Yeah, Nahiri's 5. So in all likelihood, we're going to cast Nahiri next turn. What do we do in the meantime until then? Like, I want to cast the fighter class and kind of get that going, but with what we have in play, I feel like it makes sense to get our Argentum armor, and that's not a thing that I want to show our opponents. So I'm kind of wanting to hold this, which I think means we just play the Bladegraph Aspirant for now. It's not like my favorite play. I'd actually prefer if we had the mana to get Nahiri right here and get that going. But yeah, I want to hold this for a second because we'll be able to do some really big stuff with that. That or Cauldra could also make sense. Let me check on fighter class here. Okay, it reduces the equip cost by 2. So we don't have a free equip for Argentum armor yet, which means it would be like 9 mana. No, well, it'd be less because if we activate that, it'd be 4 to equip. If we equipped it to this, it would be 3 to equip. Oh, yeah, okay. So, you know, we're not that far away from all of that happening. So maybe like 2 turns on the Argentum armor, assuming that like our plans don't get screwed up with removal somehow. Anyway, let's take a look at what our opponents are doing. So first up, we've got Illegal Xeno piloting Katilda and Leer. I don't think I've seen this one yet. 3 mana, 3/3. Whenever you cast a human spell, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback equal to its mana cost. So... okay, yeah, so that made sense why they went early on the swords, because they can just flash it back when something becomes annoying, which means as soon as we can, we're gonna want to start holding up this Sajiri shelter. Unfortunately, I think our mana is going to be a little awkward on that unless we catch a Soul Ring off the top or something. Moving on from that, in the middle, we've got Mango piloting Bladewing the Risen. I've seen them play this deck in paper many times, and it's a Dragon Reanimator. A Dragon Reanimator is a deck you should be scared of. Mango has a particular affinity for Dracuseth, and we have this hilarious play pattern where Mango would try to reanimate Dracuseth, and I would immediately swords it every time for like 10 straight games in which this happened. And I mean, it's Dracuseth. You have to kill it, right? Like, nothing's going to go good for... Ooh, that's a Dragon Tempest. That's a good card, too. Funny story is that I actually run this in Angel Tribal now because it gives any creature with flying haste until end of turn. The second part of the text cares about dragons, which not relevant to the angels, but giving all of your flying creatures haste is really good in an angel deck. Particularly Aurelia, where like they can come down and attack twice. Haste is a massive thing in that deck. Although the question now is, like, do you use Rising of the Day? Because there are a number of legendary creatures in that deck, and that additional damage is also going to be pretty good. Oh, God, yeah, we're getting started with that. There's an Atsushi, the Blazing Sky. Where are we pointing this damage? 2 Flintlocks face. Love it. Does this hit creatures and players? Any target. Wow. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Mango has entered the chat. And very simply, Bladewing the Risen, when it enters the battlefield, you may reanimate target dragon from your graveyard to the battlefield. And the part of text that everyone forgets, team fire breathing for your dragons. Easy thing to forget about, but I have died to that in the past. Late in the game, if Mango has a lot of mana, 2 dragons can kill you, right? If they just throw a lot of mana into them. And then finally, we've got Flintlock started talking about it, playing Greasefang Okiba Boss. Is a 3-mana 4/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, return target vehicle card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Mirror Works. Oh, that's spicy. That's a spicy one. Yeah, okay, this board's getting a little serious. Getting a little serious. I see why opponent used the swords early in the game, because the thing that they exile was just going to make a crap load of white tokens, 1/1 white tokens. 2 for every time that it enters the battlefield, so, you know, it just litters the board with bodies and makes things difficult. So it was a nice tempo play, going to keep them from getting a million bodies on board and having to deal with all that stuff. Now, the tokens may not be a concern for the dragons, because there are any number of dragons that'll just wipe the board. Dracuseth does that. Who's the other one? Who's the one from Innistrad? Can't think of the name right now. Balefire Dragon, right? You know, a Balefire Dragons do show up, and it'll just, you know, crush all the tokens. But anyway, that's going to bring it back to our turn. Let's see what we draw here. Another land. Yeah, okay. Definitely made the right call. Mulliganing that land to the bottom. Which one is this? 2 or more opponents. We have 2 or more opponents. We'll go ahead and play that. Read this one more time. You may play that card this turn. So based on the fact that we don't have a lot of mana, if it's not an equipment, this could backfire a little bit. Hopefully we don't hit like a big timing spell. Like it to Fairy's Protection. I've had that come up many times. Basically, wherever we send this, it's going to kill the token, but I think that's still worth it for the land and the impulse draw here. So Bitterthorn and Nahiri will both trigger. Not sure if there's an ideal order here, but I guess we'll go Nahiri first. We hit an equipment. That's a good one at that. The Reaver Cleaver. Well, that's going to be good. Glad we went in that order. Use the Bitterthorn ability. Yeah, I feel like we have a lot of mountains. We'll get another plains. Just try to keep our mana colors somewhat balanced. Yep, opponent's going to block. Our token goes down, but, you know, we got some pretty good value. We're going to cast the Reaver Cleaver without paying its mana cost. Love that. And I guess we do have the 1 mana to pay for the... Oh, no, it's 2 mana now, isn't it? Oh. Don't have the 2 mana. Well, guess we can't pay. Wow, opponent's up to 10 cards. Probably not great with a deck that wants to be flashing everything back. Probably a lot of spells in there that equals a lot of removal. How much is this thing to... Yeah, so we're kind of 1 short on everything here, which is a little unfortunate, but yeah, pass like that. Sky Shroud Claim. That seems like a powerful card on the flashback. Getting 2 lands twice like that, that's a big deal getting into the late game. Particularly since those ones, they come in untapped on that one? Yeah, they can come in untapped on that one, which is also a big deal. Yeah, opponent's going to cast their commander, Katilda and Leer coming in. Oh, is there a Hearth and Home in this deck? No Hearth and Home. Ooh. Hearth and Home will be so good because we could blink the Stoneforge Mystic and then just get absolutely wild. So as far as our tutor, let's take a look at what makes sense. Caldra is a solid choice. Argentum Armor is good, but we'll draw a lot of attention from the board, and we'll probably eat removal, honestly, if we try it. Hammer of Nazan is not a terrible option, actually. Batterskull is decent. Hexblade is decent. Flying in haste. Black Dragon. Enters the battlefield. Target creature an opponent controls gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Who's going down here? There's 2 commanders that could kill. Okay, they're going to go after the Greasefang, and then what are they going to hit with the Dragon Tempest? They're going to hit this Copper Vanguard. So, yeah, things getting spicy out here. Also, this will be nasty once... It's a nice little reanimation target. Removal on small creatures. So, Greasefang and Coppercoat going down. This is going to be a tricky game. There are good decks at this table, and 4/4 coming our way. There are decent cards in this deck, but because of a lot of the living weapon stuff, that eats up deck slots of like the really powerful best in slot type things. Like again, like a Hearth and Home would go beautifully to blink this Stoneforge Mystic and like get that loop going. Does that eat removal at some point? Yeah, that's probably going to eat removal at some point based on what's happening. But, you know, so we're missing some of that stuff. Is there a Luxodon Warhammer in here? Wouldn't mind a Luxodon Warhammer or a Shadow Spear for the trample and lifelink. Life total is starting to dwindle a little bit. We have the lowest life total at the table at 30. And again, that's also where a Sunforger can help you a lot, just because you can get all your fog effects and stuff. Hide behind those for a little while. Flintlock passed without doing anything. That's interesting. So, let's give trample. does give trample. Start with the land. That's the easy part. Masterwork Ingenuity. We could double up on something. That seems ridiculous. Part of me, oh man. Part of me wants to drop the fighter class and get that party going. But that will surely attract attention. Because if we do this, that'll be 5 mana, so we'd use all this. Both of these would free equip to the Bladegraph Aspirant. Ooh, that's free also. My. I'm just worried about how the table is going to perceive that. Currently would take 4 mana. Just the tempo. It just makes too much sense to not do it. I guess the thing we could do... are we paying for this? I'm not going to pay because I don't know exactly what we're doing this turn. Still trying to figure that out. Cauldron would be less threatening and more robust, but there are things that are worth shooting on this board. Truth and Justice, huh? Wonder why there's a Truth and Justice. What about the Hex Plate? We could get a lot of value with the Hex Plate. What's this one do? Equip abilities you activate of other equipment cost 1 less to activate. Equip creature as double strike. Oh god, that one seems good, actually. Because if we double strike with the treasures, that is a ton of mana. The only issue is that we are running a little bit low on cards. So, like, we do need Nahiri to kind of fill that gap. This says draw a card on it. There is that. But we'd have to throw something else under the bus, which we might be able to do. Yeah, there are choices. Ooh, you know what? Batterskull is not a terrible idea either, because we could use some lifelink. Yeah, I think I like the Batterskull play. Okay, let's get that. Wait, does that other one have lifelink? Maybe we should have went that one. Who knows? Okay, upgrade the fighter class. Love me some fighter class. Activate the Stoneforge. Crap, we're not going to be able to get the Batterskull equipped, I don't think. So it would reduce, because it's 5, so it would reduce 2, reduce 3. Yeah, we'll be 1 short of equipping the Batterskull, but maybe that's still not the end of the world. Okay, let's do this then. So we'll equip this here. It'll be free. And equip this here. It's also free. We'll send this over to Xeno. I think we do... Do we need the blocker? We'll be able to block with the Batterskull token. Okay, so that being the case, we'll send this over to Flintlock and probably just eat a token. Bitterthorn and the Nahiri triggers. The value. Probably should have went for the double strike one. I'm going to go look at that double strike card again. Ooh, a Bloodforged Battle Axe. That's a good one. That is a good one. So the train's starting to roll a little bit. Use the Bitterthorn ability. Before we do that, where's that? Bladehold War Whip. Okay, enchanted creature has double strike. So it's not lifelink. So I prioritize the lifelink because I can see our life getting low really quickly. We'll get a mountain right here. Try to keep the mana balanced. Opponent's going to block with the 1/1, as expected. We hit with the Bladegraph Aspirant. That's going to be a bunch of extra mana. 4 extra mana. Love that. Love that. Oh yeah, we got to cast our Bloodforged Battle Axe without paying its mana cost. Also love that. I'll free equip that to the Blade Aspirant. Ooh, we can force things to block. That does become interesting. Trample might be... Yeah, we probably... Oh, this says trample. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, we have trample with that. Excellent. Okay, so I think the plan is sit on Sajiri and Stoneforge Mystic ability. I think that's what we're doing. Look to upgrade this at some point if we can. Man, that double strike one would probably should have went for the double strike one. Because I think that we could have free equipped that and then just got a ton of treasure. I guess the problem there is that we just run out of cards. So the plan here, maybe, yeah, we probably need to get, because this is whenever an equipped creature you control attacks. So for each creature that's equipped, we will get more. Oh, God. Mystic Sanctuary getting back these Swords to Plowshares. Archmage Emeritus, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, draw a card. That seems disgusting. Getting back the Sky Shroud claim. Or giving it flashback, rather. Sky Shroud claim. Yep. Yeah, that's a lot of ramp. Like, even though we're making treasures and that's all good, and I mean, they're going to catch right up to what we've been doing all game, basically, with, like, 2 plays. Like, that's already surpassed the number of lands we've gotten with Bitterthorn, and yeah, seems good. And looks like they've got at least 1 mana up, depending on what they grab here. They could have, 3 mana up. Man, I wish we had another tutor for that Argentum armor. Any more in the deck? I think we may have burned all the tutors. See what Mango's thinking. Red Dragon. Not a bad little card. 4 damage to each opponent. You flicker that a couple times, and that is a lot of damage without even having to attack. And that is also why I went for the lifelink, because I kind of know how Mango's deck works here, so I know that it can punch out damage in a hurry. And I don't want to just get killed to, like, you know, these sort of damage all type of effects. Plus, opponent's got one too in this thing, so yeah, we're just... Stoneforge Mystic down, that is unfortunate. Oh no, oh crap, I forgot to activate the thing. Oh no, now we gotta pay full price. Ah, crap. Crap, I missed it. That's gonna hurt. 4 damage each opponent. Down to 26. No attacks our way. Red Dragon over to Flintlock. That's fine. Yeah, we did need to get that Batter Skull. That's gonna hurt a bit. See what Flintlock is thinking. A board wipe would not be the worst thing that ever happened right here. They're going Greasefang. See if they have any tricks for it. Looks like they just F6 their turn last turn. Oh, you know what's interesting? So this can force blocking. Yeah, I like that actually. This can force blocking, and because this has Menace, that means they have to block with 2. We can get a lot done with that. That's a Sword of Feast and Famine. Oh my. Okay. How do we make this turn work? Because, like, we do have to not die to dragons and other stuff. This will be 2 mana. Maybe we got to give up on the fighter class for a turn. So I do think we need to get some life gain going. Cast the Batter Skull. Not paying. Living Weapon. Should be 2 to equip that there. Yep. We do that. Then we cast the Feast and Famine. Then we cast another Feast and Famine. Although Batter Skull is also an interesting choice, but we'll go dual Feast and... could probably use the lifelink. Oh, Batter Skull lets us return it to its hand, too. Okay, we're going Batter Skull, then. That'll Living Weapon. Free equip the Feast and Famine. Let's send this over to Xeno. Hope it gets through. Xeno has far too many resources. On the other hand, if we go to Mango, Mango probably doesn't have a lot to defend against it. Yeah, maybe we go Mango. We really want this to get through. Yeah, sorry, Mango. Sorry, Mango. Nahiri and Bitterthorn both trigger. Use the ability. Get plains. It's a land. Well, Buried Ruin is a good land. Do we already play a land this turn? I feel like we may have. Yeah, Xeno's thinking this one over. Oh, they passed it. They passed it. Yeah, I know they've got the swords, and if we go in their direction, they definitely use it. The question is whether they have more stuff on top of that. That kind of messes us up. We need to get this hit through. There's just too much value. There's too much value riding on this hit. So it's just got to happen because we need the life. We need the mana. Oh, okay, here it comes. Yeah, here comes the swords. So we're going to Sajiri Shelter. Yeah, we're going to Sajiri Shelter on our guy. Choosing white. We hit. There are some triggers. Bloodforged Battle Axe, Sword of Feast and Famine, and make that many treasures off of the Reaver Cleaver. Yeah, that's some value. Oh, and we go back to 38 life. Feeling a lot safer at 38 than where we were. That is a big hit. We're up to 15 treasures now. Sadly, we don't have that much else to do. Untap the lands. Yup. Bloodforged Battle Axe. And so now we have the mana to do most of the things we need to be doing. We literally need more cards in this moment. We're gonna put this one on Nahiri. That's a free equip. Love that. I think we should probably put this on Nahiri too. Mango's gonna Dragon's Fire on Nahiri, triggering the Esper Sentinel. Nahiri goes to the command zone, but with this much mana, we can easily recast it. Also, yeah, we have a ton of equipment, so it's gonna be pretty cheap. Recast Nahiri for 2. The minimum. The minimum. Try it again. We can play the Buried Ruin. And this is helpful in case an artifact board wipe goes off that isn't Farewell. We can upgrade this thing. I guess we just leave the Batter Skull token where it is for now in case we got to block some big thing. Next turn would be ideal to try to get the 3 triggers, I think, off of all that. So, decent spot now. Only issue is we're running out of cards, and Xeno has a lot of cards. So, yeah, I'm fully expecting a flurry of removal right here. Starts with the land. Cast Wizards of Thay. Gonna flash back on the swords, yeah. You know what, I should have moved the Batter Skull over because this can die to the Dragon Tempest. Although, Mango's probably got to start thinking about some of this stuff too. They did discard a Thunderbreak Regent. I mean, it's a Bladewing deck, they can just get it right back. Rick, Steadfast Leader coming in. Okay, yep, more flashback on the swords. Now the humans are gonna get a little bigger. Yeah, now opponent's starting to have a little bit of power. Maybe thinking about attacking. Yeah, First Strike and Vigilance on the team. Okay. Yep, those are keywords. Gonna make it a little tougher to get through. Swords on the Bladegraph Aspirant. Yep, that will make me sad. Opponent gets to draw a card off that. Yep. Importantly, we do gain more life off that, so we're up to 50, which, just gives us that little bit of extra wiggle room against whatever the dragons are trying to do. Yeah, opponent's gonna send an attack. Yeah, they're putting some damage in our direction. We don't have haste, so... Is that about 10 damage? Yeah, we don't have profitable blocks, so I guess we just try to stay on the lifelink plan, hope that doesn't get disrupted. This thing was solid. This thing was very solid. Probably need to start adopting this a little bit more. I haven't played tons of Voltron since it's come out. Haven't really updated my Aurelia list at all either. But yeah, this looks really, really solid. As far as Nahiri, Nahiri's been okay. It's more of a value-based Voltron than it is do all of the damage, necessarily. If you want, like, raw killing power, I think I'm still on Bruno or Arden. Here comes Bladewing, but, you know, the value... We're getting into the part of this game where the value is going to need to carry us. We need to get a couple triggers here because we're kind of out of cards in hand. Yep, there's the triggers. Bringing back Thunderbreak Regent. Yep. It's going to be 2 Dragon Tempest triggers. Looks like one's hitting us in the face. Back down to 37. They can do more if they want to. More Dragon Tempest. Gonna shoot our Nahiri. That is not the best. We did need that as an attacker. Haste would be a good pickup. Back to the command zone. And an attack for 12 in the air. Oh man, yeah, Mango did not like that attack. I guess they'll say that they're wide open for the crackback. This is gonna hurt though. They're sending a little bit into Xeno, which is gonna need to happen. Declaration on Stone on Rick probably isn't the worst idea, although we do have this thing also. Back down to 25. Yeah, the Batter Skulls. That is why I chose the Batter Skull, even though there are some other options that were very appealing. Would hope to catch something big off the top. We really just need to look at more cards. See what Flintlock's thinking. Discard's a thing. Oh, it's one of the new ones. Flying and indestructible, huh? When it attacks, mill 3 cards. For each creature milled this way, make some zombie tokens. Getting the Necron Monolith. Mango says they have big fire lizards. Indeed they do. I'll be honest, they haven't even played the scariest ones yet. These are all like the value ones. If a Dracuseth or a Balefire Dragon shows up, that is trouble. Oh, and a Mirror Works? Oh my god, yeah, okay. Flintlock's getting back into this game. We need to draw a little bit of gas. I'm a little worried. This deck isn't the... I don't know, it's got a weird... There are just things that worry me. Like, there's a lot of 1-drops here. A 1-drop probably wouldn't be the best. A land would be terrible. I'm hoping it's not a land because we have pulled a number out of the deck with the triggers. Yep, so they got 2 of these. Seems good. 7/7 Flying Indestructible is going to be really good against the dragons for blocking. A haste equipment would be amazing. Opponent's going on the attack. Let's see where this is going. Attacking Mango. Okay. I can support that. They get a token out of the deal. Yeah, it might make sense to pick up this Batter Skull because there are just a lot of small things over here. Although, I guess we could do that after. We do it like on a Feast and Famine trigger. Mango's down to 18. I mean, we could probably kill Mango, but need Mango to attack over here. What we need. And the thing will return to its hand at the end step. Yep. And they have a copy of it, which seems really good. Although it's a crew 4, they can't crew it in this moment. So they are exposed for at least a little bit. Come on, we need a big draw. Beamtown Beatstick. It's not really that. More treasure. Menace is cool, I guess, but... Well, Menace with the, this ability... The third ability is not the worst thing I've ever seen. Start by recasting our commander. Well, if we cast this first, it'll be once again the minimum. Like I said, that affinity keyword, that affinity ability, really good. Now we have the mana to start paying for the stupid Esper Sentinel. We need to cut down opponent's resources. Big time. 3. Ugh. Yep, start equipping everything onto here. Opponent said these germs are like the Ebola virus. Yep, this one's pretty deadly. Question is, will it eat removal? Go to combat. Here comes the interaction. Return all non-creature, non-land permanents to their owner's hand. What? All non-creature, non-land. So that artifacts, basically? Oh, God. In the middle of combat? Woof. Yep. We get crushed. Can't even cast this Declaration in stone. Cast the Bloodforged Battle Axe, I guess. Cast the Bloodforged Battle Axe. Well, that was extremely annoying. I mean, yeah, I knew that was going to happen, right? So, on that turn we attacked Mango, I should have just sent it into Xeno. Ugh, 8 cards in hand, too. Because I knew, like, they just had such a resource lead that, you know, it's, like, obviously a control deck, so you can tell this sort of stuff's going to start happening. Opponent's going to draw even more cards. The good news is that Mango is threatening enough that they, like, if they choose to kill one of us, the other one kind of comes back on them unless they have something to protect themselves with. It's not out of the question, but I was hoping we'd at least have enough mana to cast the Declaration in stone. But nope. Champions of Minas Tirith. Oh god, they have a can attack effect? There's the protection I was talking about. Yeah, that seems real strong. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, make a 1/1 bird illusion. Yep, that's going to be good blocking against the dragons. Mango's mana is screwed. They're on 4 lands. So they're going to have to spend several turns recasting all their mana rocks. But in the meantime, read this thing again. At the beginning of combat on each opponent's turn, if you're the monarch, that opponent may pay X, where X is the number of cards in their hand. If they don't, they can't attack. So if you can empty your hand, it's better. Opponent going on the attack, there's a myriad. Cultivate, makes a token. Is Mango going down here? That'll actually be a big problem if they do. No profitable blocks, sadly. Yeah, I think Mango's going down. Mango at 0, we're at 14. Eek. And they're the monarch. So part of the problem in this game is that a board wipe hasn't really gone off. And just like, opponent had all these value creatures and no one's done anything to stop any of them. So that might be one of my recommendations here. This deck does appear to be, I think there's a single combat, which is okay. Probably does need a bit more removal than what I'm seeing in here. Because the thing too is that, like, from what I've seen in this deck, it's not fast enough to just like outrace a green deck, which means you're going to need decent removal to be able to slow down what they're doing. Mirror works. I'm thinking Rick is the correct target because opponent loses most of their attacking power. They don't really have like good attacks if Rick goes down. Opponent's going to discard a thing. This would be a great time for one of their removal, nope, it's just this thing. Yeah, one of the removal vehicles. Oh god. Opponent, unless they want to spend the mana, won't even be able to attack, although I don't know that they have that much. No, they can make another copy with this thing, which they'd probably want to do, which means we're probably getting attacked right here. Yep, they're going to mirror works the thing, crew the thing. We're being attacked because, of course. Opponent's going to instant speed Nature's Lore somehow. You may cast sorceries with flash. Great. Love that. Down to 1 mana in hand. Could still be a number of removal spells. Thing returns at the end step. Sword of the Animist. I'm feeling like fighter class for Hammer of Nazan, because we need the free equips. Even then, like, that's still probably not enough to survive. It might be if we can drop down some batter skulls, although the flying is a problem for us. Yeah, cast fighter class. Not paying. Again, this is also where like a Sunforger is super helpful. We can hide behind effects. A Conqueror's Flail would be amazing. Yeah, I think it's just got to be Hammer of Nazan because we're so far behind. Use the ability. I think it's got to be the Reaver Cleaver because we need the trample. Although, if we just did... Yeah, we really need the mana. The life on this would be, what, 11 life? Yeah, we need the mana. That's what we need, so... We can't guarantee the Feast and Famine getting through. Free equip. Sword of the Animist. Oh, crap. They just block with that thing. Well, it's all we can do. Yep, that thing triggers. Sword of the Animist. Nahiri trigger. Use the ability. Get a planes. We hit Liberator, or it's got flying. That is actually huge. And we can cast up with Flash. That's cool, too. And with the free equips, we can do some silly things. Silly, silly things. We hit, they take it, they don't block, thankfully. We're still at 7, though, and that's going to be a real big problem. We get 9 treasures. We can do a little bit with 9 treasures. Let's get the Liberator. We could theoretically cast 2 Batter Skulls if we need to. We got to cast the Declaration Stone is definitely what has to happen. We won't have enough for the Batter Skull because why would we have enough for the Batter Skull? Yeah, we still got to play the Declaration Stone. There's just too much damage out there. Pumps the Liberator up. There's the protection effect. Yeah, we can scoop. We're not coming back from this. Filter Out just decimated us. If we at least had, like, the mana to recast some of the stuff, it wouldn't have been as bad, but we lost, what, like 2 full turns on that? So this deck. There are obviously a lot of fun choices in this deck. It can be built stronger than this. I didn't feel like Nahiri was the strongest Boros Voltron commander based on what it did while it was in play. Like, it was cool. It's a value commander, right? And it's nice because it's cheap, right? That affinity for equipment is huge. But we didn't really have the right support equipment, right? Like, a lot of these living weapons are pretty mediocre, in my opinion. Wasn't really caring for what they were doing. We had some of the better ones in hand, too. I don't know, maybe we should have went for Argentum Armor in that one turn, but we needed the life against the dragons. Just melting our life. The part of the problem, too, is that I don't think any removal ever went in the direction of the Katilda player. So, like, Mango with one of those triggers had to blow up something of theirs, like the Archmage, their commander or something just to slow them down a little, and that never happened, so they literally just like waltzed to victory. The removal is a problem in this deck. Single combat, and I think there's a couple pieces of spot removal. Dispatch, it's a nice one. Yeah, like the deck doesn't interact enough. And which means this would definitely be a candidate for a Sunforger, because with a Sunforger, you don't need necessarily a ton of spells, but like you can have 1 or 2 fogs in the deck and just yank them out when you need to. You need the Sword of Farthenholm for the Stoneforge Mystic combo, because if we had that going, we would have been off to the races just doing all the things we want to do. So for the most part, it's not the things that are in the deck, it's the things that are missing from the deck, and that's the interaction, right? Like it needs a little more protection, it needs a little more removal, it needs some unconditional card draw, right? It's not even a Mask of Memory in the deck. We'd probably want to have at least one of those. You know, I would love an Ignite the Future or a Showdown of the Scald, something like that, just because we had so much mana and just nothing to do with it. And I get the idea is that you're going to try to get, you know, a lot of triggers with Nahiri, but there's any number of reasons why that doesn't pan out. Like, and, you know, like the thing with Voltron too is that, like, it is weird to spread your equipment in Voltron, right? Like, we had that Blade Graph Aspirant, and at the time, it just made sense to put everything on the Blade Graph Aspirant. Because of, like, the colors at the table, we needed to get the Feast and Famine through, and, right, there wasn't enough tempo left to really move the equipment around. So there's a lot of that sort of stuff going on too. Yeah, so overall, I didn't care for the living weapon theme that much. I get what it's trying to do. I would still run some of the better ones, like Batterskull is going to be solid. Mini Batterskull, what's that one called? Batterbone, probably also very reasonable. Although, Equip 5? Equip 5 is pretty rough. I don't know how I feel about that. Nettle Cyst could be okay. But yeah, some of the cheaper ones in here that are like a Flare Husk just isn't doing anything for me. And, you know, again, those can be protection spells or things that keep you alive, settle the wreckage, and so on. And yeah, like the thing that I was fearing all game is that, like, oh, we're just going to have nothing for this blue deck. And then no one did anything at all to try and combat the blue deck. So yeah, that's what happened. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below.